Hey,
Today, hey Sean, um, I'm John Fitzgerald, and I'm joined today by Shaun Clancy. We have a very short segment today where we're going to let Sean tell a story that he told me last week for the first time, and I thought it was one of the funniest stories I'd heard in a long time. So, Sean will now be telling the story of the time he threw three fairly prominent people out of a bar on the same day. And Sean, I'll let you take it away. I'll jump in with some questions.
thanks, John. So, I've been lucky enough to have met a lot of famous people over the years in my training, starting on my training where that's a different story. I think I've told it where I almost knocked over Frank Sinatra with a trolley on my first day at work back in Dublin, right the way through to a lot of the celebrities that came through Foley's. But before Foley's, I was managing a bar in Midtown Manhattan, and not all that far from Central Park. And there were a couple of very prominent hotels close by, which tended to cater to a lot of very prominent celebrities. So we weren't open that long, and it was during the summer. And one of the servers came to me, and she's like, "There's a guy in the restaurant, and he doesn't have his shirt on, and he won't put a shirt on, and he's acting like a bit of an idiot." And I go down, and I'm like, "He looks very familiar." And then I took another look at him, and it was Matthew McConaughey. And we had a banquet along across from the bar, like I don't want to say leather, maybe a pleather. And here is a very sweaty Matthew McConaughey with no shirt on, sliding across right as we're about to start lunch. And I gone over to him, and I was like, "Sir, you have to put a shirt on." And I, "Dude, you know who I am?" And I'm like, "I don't even care who you are, buddy, but you have to put a shirt on." But look at this body. And I was like, "I'd rather not, And I guess some of the ladies there would have liked him to have kept the shirt off, but so
What time of day was this? Was this
this was at 12 o'clock noon.
okay? I think that's pretty important.
Yes, it was. This wasn't a late night occurrence. This was 12 o'clock noon. I said, "Come on, you got to go." And there was a lot of back and forth, and you don't know who I am. And I said, "I don't care who you are." I said, "Listen, I'll buy you." To be honest, truthfully, I'm not going to. He was. Let's just put it this way: if he had to come in with a shirt on and ordered an alcoholic beverage, he wasn't getting served because he'd. The old classic line: "If you think you have to think twice about it, you've had enough." So this it took about probably half an hour to get him out. And it didn't have. Thankfully, it didn't have to get physical, but we got him out. Now it's just like, okay, that's one for the Bucks. So a couple of hours go by. Now it might be like 5, 6 o'clock in the evening. One of my other servers come to me. She's like, "Look, we're having a real problem with this table over here." It's like everything I bring to them, the one of the guys doesn't like. He said the rest of the people have been really nice. He said, but this guy's been an ass. So I go over. There's four people at the table. And I was like, "Hey, is everything okay?" And three of them were like, "Yeah, yeah, everything's fine." And the one, "Sir, are you okay? You seem to have an issue." He's like, and he kind of swore at me. And I was like, "Yeah, this is not going to end well." And I was like, "Have you got a problem?" And he swore at me again. And I said, "Look, what I said to the three folks, I said, folks, I'm sorry." I said, "But he's got to go." So I said, "You know what?" And then I gave an old standard line that I'd heard one time when I was bartending in a previous life. And I used to they say, "You know what? There's 25,000 bars and restaurants in New York. I think you should find another one because you're not welcome here." And one of the guys gave me "You know who he is?" I said, "I have a fair idea who he is." But I said, "You're going to be an ass to my staff, and you're going to be an ass to me. I don't care who you are." And that was Axl Rose, from Guns N' Roses. So I was like, "Yeah, that's two in one day. That's pretty good." Now I know it was a Monday. And the reason why I know it was a Monday was I used to work a really long day. So I would open up at 8:30 in the morning. I would be there till probably 1 o'clock the following morning. So about 12:30, I'm finishing up whatever, and I look on the screens, camera screens, and I see this guy coming in, and all these people are pointing at him, and I go downstairs, and it's Carrot Top, and I was just like, So I just went up to him and I said, because I know that he can go either way from what I've heard from previous, I mean, I had never done any interactions with him, but so I just walked up to him and I said, listen, I said, it's not a good day for you to be here. I said, because my asshole meter's kind of like really been pushed to the limit. So I said, I'm going to kind of make a deal with you. I said, I'm going to ask you to leave. I said, if you decide to come back, I said, I'm leaving in a half hour. I said, you want to come back? You're more than welcome to come back. But I said, I can't put up with any of your shit for the next half an hour. And he started laughing. And I told him what had happened. I said, dude, that's so cool. He says, throw me out. He says, tell me to leave. I said, all right. So I says, because I can tell everyone I got thrown out of the same bar as Axl Rose and Matthew McConaughey in the same day. So I said, all right, Mr. Top, gotta go. And he left. He was very happy about it. And the funny thing was, he goes around the corner to another bar that was owned by the same guys that owned the bar I was working at, had a couple of beers there, and they said, oh, you're going to stay? He said, no. He said, I got thrown out of a bar on the corner. I want to go back, he said, because it's got to be really cool. He says, the guy said I could go back after he left. And I came back in, and the bartender said he was wonderful, and they had pictures where he's behind the bar with their ties in his mouth, and I was like, I was just like, you know what, better off to let it go. So that was the day that basically I threw 3 celebrities out of the bar in 24 hours.
What was Carrot Top's reputation?
He can just not know when to stop.
Yeah.
So he starts and it's funny for a while, and then he's like I said, he's putting, he wouldn't know when to stop, and just like, he'd be bothering people at the bar. Like I was at a philosophy, and I was told this, anyone ever worked for me, I was like, look, if you've got somebody at the bar that you don't want them interrupting other people. So if I'm sitting at the bar and you and I are having a beer or we're having a conversation, I don't need some genius next to me that's interrupting. That's I'm like, we're all there for the same reason.
So he's bringing his props in.
Like I said, we didn't get as far as him bringing the props in. I stopped him pretty straight off, but I just know that he's got a habit of being like a tad annoying.
Huh. So I guess 3 Irish guys. Well, I'm assuming Carrot Top's Irish, but the other 2 definitely are. So interesting.
Actually, I never really knew that Axl Rose was Irish. McConaughey, actually, with a name like McConaughey, I assumed it, but
yeah, his real name's Bailey.
I may want to have a word with some of the people in Ireland and see if we can have Axl Rose's revoked. He was, like I said, it's just been a pain in the ass. I mean, you know what? We all have bad days, and I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. But regardless how bad your day is going, you always have to be respectful. And that was the one thing I always preached. Anywhere I've ever been, anywhere I've ever worked, anytime I've ever had anyone working for me, is the fact of, it's like I treat the general manager for, whether it be the Mets or the Yankees, with the same respect as I treat the guy who washes the dishes for me. And that's the way it should be with everybody that comes through my door. And if you disrespect my staff, I don't care what team you are, who you work for, what you do, how much money you have, you're out.
It's good advice. Well, that's a hell of a story. So next time, let's get the story about when you threw, what was it, the Gallagher brothers out, and then
3 bars.
Yeah, no, that's a different story for a different day.
That's a different story, yes.
The Frank Sinatra one.
3 in one day to 3 guys one. But the only good part about that story is, like, the genius is that, I mean, I'm not unrecognizable. Like, I mean, there aren't that many bartenders that were as big as I was. And they kind of said, you kind of look like the guy that threw us out of the last place. I said, you guys aren't the smartest. Thankfully, they were better at music.
All right. Well, thanks, Shaun. That was awesome.